I don't think it would be quite fair if I didn't kind of share my story and how I got here too. He changed my life. You heard Joe Galli today, who's CEO of a billion-dollar company. You heard the Brigadier General of the Marine Corps speak today, who was one of my former wrestlers. They would never have been at North Carolina if it weren't for Coach Rice. Their lives wouldn't have been the same if it weren't for Coach Rice. Coach Rice I've known longer than most anybody in here. In fact, has anybody known him before 1966? 1966, he was at Oklahoma University coaching. And the first time he came to a wrestling match in history, he came when Oklahoma and Oklahoma State were wrestling off for #1 in the nation. And, you know, we were fortunate to win that night, and I felt good about that. And went into coaching for a little bit in high school. I didn't like it too much because of all the rules. There are too many. You have to have 2 tests a week to give it. I said, you know, what's that got to do with knowing a student and scoring and teaching them? But that's what you had to do. So I quit teaching high school. I didn't like the rules. And but what really happened was I got my heart broke a little bit. They offered me a job at Colorado State University to be the wrestling coach. And I was pretty excited about it. And so I told people about it. I was pretty young and fired up about it. They called me the next night and said, look, we had to interview one more person, and I'm afraid we went ahead and gave the job to him. Well, I was totally embarrassed because I had told everybody that I had the job. So I said, you know what, I'm quitting coaching, I'm quitting athletics, I'm going to work in business. And I went to work for Procter & Gamble in management, and moved up faster in that company than anybody they'd ever had. And I hated it. I was in a bar by 1 and was still beating everybody. I said, these people do not understand what competitive is. You know, and so I was driving and I said, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. And I was driving and I prayed, I said, you know, Father, I just need to know what I'm supposed to do because I'm not supposed to be a salesperson. And I came home and I said, you know what, I know I'm supposed to still coach again. And so I was down in Charleston, South Carolina at that point in time with Procter & Gamble, and I made a phone call. And I looked up and down the whole East Coast and started looking, and I saw, you know, Maryland, I saw up at Syracuse, I went to Pennsylvania, I saw they had good wrestling there, and North Carolina just kept popping up. Good academic school, you know, good athletic program. They were horrible in wrestling. I said, man, that's a job I can't do any worse than this guy's doing. I'm going to make the phone call there. So I looked and saw Homer Rice was the athletic director. I thought, man, he was coaching football when I was at Oklahoma. I said, I'm at least going to make a call. So I called him up and I said, Coach Rice, you might not remember me, but I wrestled at Oklahoma when you were coaching there. And I noticed you have a really good athletic program. You're good in football, basketball, you got a great program, but your wrestling's not doing too good. And if you ever decide you're going to increase the interest in wrestling at that point, I'd just like you to take my name and if you're interested at all. And he said, don't remember you. He says, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a week. We're going to change our program, and you're who I want to be here. I know that was a spiritual aspect. I know that he said, when I came here, he and Bill Kobe took me. He said, now you probably won't want to stay real long, but you can get started here and be here a year or 2 and go back to the Midwest. And that's what I thought I'd do. Well, 33 years later, I was still here. And it changed my life tremendously, and I'll never... you know, it was a great leadership aspect tonight. I loved watching you teach, but the whole reason for today was because of you. The whole reason of this leadership session was because of Coach Rice, because I didn't feel like North Carolina had recognized him in the way that he should be recognized.